Hugh Charles McBarron, Jr., an American commercial artist, is considered by many to be the Dean of American military historians and military illustrators. Biography. McBarron was born in Chicago, Illinois, where he lived all his life. He was born and raised in a family home on the near north side of Chicago that was rebuilt by his maternal grandfather after the Great Chicago Fire of 1871. He began formal art training at age 7 in classes at the Art Institute of Chicago. Upon graduation from Waller High School, Chicago, he made a sudden decision to forego admission to Northwestern University's Medill School to pursue comprehensive study at the Art Institute of Chicago. His favored artists and illustrators included Van Dyck, Winslow Homer, Howard Pyle, N.C. Wyeth, J.C. Leyendecker, Maxfield Parrish and John Singer Sargent. While informally researching military uniforms and weapons, McBarron realized that many illustrations of military scenes were inaccurate. He became committed to knowledgeable portrayal of detail and historical accuracy. An example is his mature 1975 work Soldiers of the American Revolution, a sketchbook. To support his studies, McBarron compiled an extensive personal library and collection of arms, armor, uniforms, artifacts, and research resources and archives. He drew on these and public sources for reference when creating his more than 60-year body of work. McBarron created all his illustrations from his studio in Chicago. Throughout his entire career, he maintained professional studios in downtown Chicago, as well as his home-based studio. McBarron often drafted and completed his work in non-stop fashion. He embraced and used to his advantage then contemporary mediums such as black and white photos, Polaroid photos, and Kodak 16mm movies. His use of photography and other such resources helped him produce illustrations and artworks that had accurate details. To go along with his reading and research, McBarron visited and studied many of the major battlefields and historic sites located in the original 13 colonies, the Western Reserve, and Canada. He was known for his ability to comprehend and explain complexities of clothing and uniform construction. McBarron would recreate uniform patterns which he would use to sew replicas to serve as historically accurate models for his work. While attending a luncheon with a fellow historian who was writing about a particular uniform, McBarron quickly sketched out its pattern on a cocktail napkin. The fellow historian picked up McBarron's impromptu sketch, and later included its reproduction within an authoritative work on military dress. McBarron often served as an expert consultant to the United States Marine Corps History Division, United States Army Center of Military History, the Smithsonian Institution, various military museums, and individual branches of the U.S. Armed Forces. He also consulted with Encyclopedia Britannica and World Book Encyclopedia. McBarron served as a mentor, resource, and guide to many devotees, illustrators, and historians. Mr. McBarron made uniform illustrations for the Military Collector and Historian, Journal of the Company of Military Historians. From the work of Lieutenant Colonel Edwin North McClellan, USMC, Captain Robert Mullins, Company of Continental Marines, 1779, U.S. Marine Corps, circa 1805 to 1818. While known for his military illustrations, throughout his career he also created illustrations for fashion, advertising and mail-order catalogs. McBarron produced such popular culture icons as Captain Midnight, the Jolly Green Giant and Buster Brown. He portrayed himself as a subject within his works, and can be found in virtually all his military depictions. Where's Waldo? Illustrator Martin Handford, in a Time magazine article, cited McBarron as his primary influence. Marriage and family. McBarron married Mary Cecilia Pugh. Together they had a son, Charles McBarron III, and a daughter, Mary Meredith McBarron Wagner. After his death, McBarron was interred next to his wife at Calvary Cemetery, Evanston, Illinois. Professional work. Among H. Charles McBarron's noted series of artworks on American military subjects are over 250 color illustrations for military uniforms in America, the quarterly publication of the Company of Military Historians, c. 1948 to 1990. 5 series of 10 each. 50 illustrations entitled The American Soldier, 1775 to the present, reproductions published by the U.S. Government Printing Office, Washington, D.C. 16 paintings of the Army in action, c. 1950 cc, reproductions published by the U.S. Government Printing Office, Washington, D.C. 2 series of 12 each equals 24 paintings of historic uniforms of the U.S. Navy 1775 to 1968 for the U.S. Navy Department, published by the U.S. Government Printing Office, Washington, D.C. 10 paintings. Soldiers of the American Revolution for the Center of Military History, reproductions published by the U.S. Government Printing Office. 27 paintings for the American Oil Company, c. 1963 to 65, Historical Americana, Illustrated Publications Book of the Continental Soldier, Harold Peterson, illustrated by H. Charles McBarron, c. 1965, Soldiers of the American Revolution, a Sketchbook, H. Charles McBarron, Department of the Army, Center of Military History, Washington, D.C., 1976. Military Uniforms in America, John R. Elting and Michael J. McAfee, illustrated by H. Charles McBarron, published by Presidio Press, California. Volume 1, The Era of the American Revolution, 1755 to 1795, Presidio Press, San Rafael, California, 1974. Volume 2, Years of Growth, 1796 to 1851, Presidio Press, San Rafael, California, 1977. Volume 3, Long and Dur, The Civil War Period, 1852 to 67, Presidio Press, Novato, California, 1982. Volume 4, The Modern Era, from 1868, Presidio Press, Novato, California, 1988. Encyclopedia Britannica, Illustrations of Military and Historical Subjects. Book of Costume, Simon & Schuster. Book of Soldiers, Simon & Schuster. Historical Slide Films, Society for Visual Education. Numerous illustrations for textbooks, mostly historical. Numerous illustrations for magazines and calendars. Professional membership, Company of Military Historians. Founding member c. 1948 McBarron provided, on an in-trust basis, up to 300 illustrations for publication in its Military Uniforms in America series. He created the company's Continental Rifleman 1775 illustrated logo. Smithsonian Institution, consultant. Collections and Works. Cantony Park, Wheaton, Illinois. Col. Robert R. McCormick Memorial Museum to the 1st Division, 8 paintings. Cowpens National Battlefield, Chesnee, South Carolina, Battle of Cowpens, c. 1980. Smithsonian Institution, Washington, D.C. -42 color illustrations of the U.S. Army, U.S. Navy and U.S. Marine Corps through United States history. United States Department of Defense, Washington, D.C. and U.S. military bases and installations. West Point Museum, United States Military Academy, West Point, New York. U.S. Marine Corps Museum, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Large oil painting. U.S. Army War College, Norfolk, Virginia. Large oil painting. Valley Forge Military Academy, Valley Forge, Pennsylvania. Portrait of General Lee on horseback, Virginia. Military Institute, Lexington, Virginia. The Citadel, Charleston, South Carolina. Pritzker Military Museum and Library, Chicago, Illinois. The Doughboy Parks, Canada. Battle of the Chateauguay National Historic Site of Canada. Life-size mural, Battle of the Chateauguay, c. 1977.